Yesterday, the government released Sukuk bond for subscription. When you try to search online for information about Sukuk, which I did, they're having so much explanations. And so I did some digging, and I'll try and provide like some of this basic information out there for those who are interested to know more about it. And before I just start, maybe for my non-Muslim friends, in Islam, Muslims are not allowed to invest in financial instruments that pay interest. So the FGN now provides Sukuk to the public so that both Muslims and non-Muslims can take part in it. It is a non-interest financial instrument. So if I'm going to break it down, it will be the Sukuk is a financial certificate that is similar to conventional bonds, but it follows Islamic principles. See, in conventional bonds, you give money to the government for a period of time and receive interest yearly. But in Sukuk, you give money to the government through maybe an SPV, that's a special purpose vehicle. And in this case, the SPV is the FGN Road Sukuk Company. I think it's also a public liability company. And it is used for a specific purpose. And in this case, it is used for the construction of roads. There are different types of Sukuk, but the one for this offer for subscription is Ijara. And Ijara is a lease-based financial instrument. That means an asset is leased to someone called the lessee or a tenant. The lessee pays the owner of the asset, who is called the lessor. And that payment is like rent for you or a fee for using or holding that asset. In the case of the FGN Sukuk, the Ijara is called a forward Ijara. This is because the asset does not yet exist. So the government uses the money from the lessor, that's the investors, to construct the asset, which in this case is that road. When the road has been constructed, the government will now start paying the lease or rent for the duration of the agreement. That's 7 years for this particular Sukuk. So in principle, investors like you and I will be owners of the asset through the SPV, and government will be paying lease until the end of the agreed period. The agreement also has a condition that the lessee, that's the government, has the option to buy off the asset. This should be like a promise, not an obligation and not a contract that the government must buy it. So in this case, the initial amount paid by the lessor to acquire the asset is paid back by the government. There are some critics who argue for and against this kind of structure. There are different points they make. But one that really stood out for me is, for example, for a Sukuk to pass Islamic principle test, the risks of the asset should be borne by the owner or the lessor. If a landlord rents out his or her house to a tenant, risks of that house is on the landlord. In fact, the risks might probably be shared between the landlord and the tenant, but the main owner of that property has the highest risks on it. But in the case of the FGN Sukuk, those against it say the risk is on the government, who is the lessee, and not the investors, who are the lessors. Because no matter what, the government will still pay back, and they won't use market value, they'll just use what they agreed to. However, those who argue for it say the lessee or the lessor have risks like default if the government fails to pay rent. Whatever the argument, the FGN Sukuk is certified by an advisory council of experts called the FRACE, FARCE. And this council was inaugurated by His Excellency Sanusi when he was the CBN governor. And the council is made up of experts in Islamic finance, and they comprise members from within and outside Nigeria. So here you have it, guys, Sukuk. Let me know if the rental rate of 19.75% is attractive and whether you will be subscribing or why you won't be subscribing. Bye, guys.